r/off my chest. Vor96 says, my wife resents me because she is a PA. Working 40 to 50 hours a week, and I make $150,000 to only work 20 to 25 hours a week. What do I do? My wife is a PA and makes awesome money, but I'm in sales and only have to work about 25 hours a week maximum including travel time, and make more than she does. She is starting to get pissy with me every time she has to leave for work, when she knows I have an easy day. I cook, I clean, I do a lot of the house stuff and kid stuff. What do I do? Create more work just to look busy that doesn't really need done? Lie to her? Oopsie I shitted 123 says. Had an ex like that. First it was she made more than me and pretty much held that over my head. Then I got a promotion and doubled my income. After that it was she did more than me around the house. If she's a rational person a serious talk may fix this. If she's anything like my ex, only thing that fixed it was leaving her in the dust. Radirian says. Her problem seems to be with her choice of profession, rather than with you. She can be venting her displeasure on you if she's burnt out and unfulfilled at work. Perhaps she ought to think about switching careers? By the way, do you require a sales partner? Random says. This is jealousy. Jealousy will kill any relationship. Not if, but when. Sit with her and tell her straight. If she is not happy with her choices then change them. If she does not stop giving you grief and being resentful of your efforts then she should leave. Find a dude who put up with that shit. 'Cause you won't. If she does not value you then what's the point of it all? If she wants to stay petulant then it's finished. It's ultimatum time. She is either not mature enough to have a relationship with you or she can move on. Tell her you're not sure you can be with her anymore unless this immature behavior changes immediately and you won't put up with it. Don't waste time bro, as if you don't eliminate this now it won't go away. This behavior is not conducive to a happy and loving home life. If she not happy she gotta make changes. r/off my chest. Important Composer 383 says. This is probably a wild question, but why is the guy I'm seeing very fixated on my breasts? I know this seems dumb to ask, but this guy I'm seeing is fixated on my boobs. If I'm wearing a top that's easy to get a hand down there, he'll instantly be touching them. When we get physical he sucks on them, and I don't mean lightly or intermittently either. It's like what I imagine breastfeeding a baby would feel like. Again I know this seems like a crazy question, but I've never had a guy be so fixated on my chest. I'm genuinely looking for a serious answer because I don't understand and haven't experienced this with anyone else. It almost feels pathological at this point, if I'm being 100%. I'm being dead serious too. Corrupt Introvert says. Some people just obsess over certain parts than others. If it's painful or an issue probably just need to ask him straight up, which is where the best answer is anyway. Strokey Hale says. I mean, it probably makes him hard to feel such a womanly part of your body that intimately. Is there really an explanation except horny? Faylet Human Akolsmad says. Some of us just really like titties. I thought I was breast obsessed. But turned out one of my lesbian friends put me to shame. Some people just really into boobs. Novel Structure 2359 says. Breasts are indeed deeply awesome. In many ways it sounds like this guy truly loves your breasts and wishes to celebrate and experience them as much as possible. If it doesn't cause you discomfort or distress then I would class it as a positive thing. If he was constantly looking at every set of breasts out there it would be a problem, but he seems pretty focused on yours. Suspicious T9161 says. Has he ever called you mommy? r/off my chest. Mirokispin says. My ex-husband told my daughter she doesn't actually have a brain tumor. My daughter has a brain tumor. It's 100% a brain tumor. It's a small brain tumor, it's non-cancerous, and she could get surgery for it, but it will always grow back, so the recommended treatment is medication twice a week to shrink it, so it reduces the negative effects and doesn't grow large enough that it would ever affect her vision. My daughter told me today that last week, when she was in a fight with her dad, he told her that she doesn't actually have a brain tumor, she has a tumor on her pituitary gland on the base of her brain. Because I guess that's a different thing. My daughter has so many health issues and medical needs, and this is how her dad has always treated her. I'm so disgusted by how he acts towards her, and just wished he loved her the way he was supposed to. Big Bob C says, I would sit her down and tell her the following: some people are what is called pedantic. For whatever reason, they like to bring up irrelevant details that show off how smart they think they are. Daddy is like that. He thinks he is being helpful, but it can be scary to think the drive was wrong or was lying to you. The pituitary is on the brain, so the drive called it a brain tumor. The drive knows what it is and how to treat it. Dinka from the North says, telling the child the truth without dragging the father through the mud is the way to go. I applaud this. Kath Thompson says, having had a pituitary tumor removed, definitely. A brain tumor. The neurologist told me point blank, if you're going to have a brain tumor, this is the one you want. The pituitary is part of the brain. Your ex is just extra, I guess. Opalench says, same thing my doc said. I didn't appreciate at the time thanks to the random temp blindness. 3 Heathens mom says, Op, I'm sorry your ex seems to treat this as I guess he must win / must be right vs supporting your and his daughter. If her visits with her father are growing more contentious than what one would expect, perhaps you need to have a discussion with the doctor treating your daughter's tumor. I'm not a medical anything, but if your ex is creating drama and unnecessary stress for your daughter, that can't be good for her health. If the doctor agrees it is a concern, then either a discussion between you and ex or you and your lawyer, if needed, to get the stress reduced. Off my chest. K242 says, bragging about your sexual past ruins your relationship. It's been a year and a half, and I 23 female, still remember many things my ex 23 male told me about the wild sex he had in college and with his previous partners. Unprompted. This would happen quite often. For example, we'd be cuddling 1 minute, and then he would randomly bring up how he came all over his ex's tits and face and how hot it was. Then when I told him it was hurtful and to stop, he would blame it on having abd, and he just says whatever is on his mind. Are people really this ignorant to say things like this to their current partner constantly? Is it to make them jealous? To this frick-ing day, I hold a lot of resentment and get very uneasy around people who are so vulgar, especially to invoke a reaction from someone they claim they care about. Yes, I understand men in their 20s are horny, but I would absolutely never tell someone I'm dating information so explicit like this. Why do people do this? Murorder says, totally get it. My girlfriend of 5 years, while drunk, let it slip out once about a sexual encounter she had that left a mark on me. Yes, I know you had a past, but I don't need to hear about it. Lickmahada14 says, he wants to do it to you. K242 says, there's different ways to bring up wanting to have sex without mentioning bizarre stories with random college girls from his past. Lavekiki says, I have abd, and I would never. That's so obviously wrong and hurtful. You don't need to be neurotypical to understand that. I hate when people use their mental disorders as a cover-up for being a dick. Yes, there are situations where I've blurted out things I shouldn't have. Normally, it's just something really awkward or unintentionally funny. but if I end up hurting someone's feelings, I still have to take accountability for that and learn from my mistakes. Stress Baller says, my wife when we were dating really wanted to know my sexual history and what type of breasts they had, etc. I said you're not going to know my sexual past, and I don't want to know yours. This is a lose-lose, unless you're both virgins. r/offmychest. Throw your one says, I live in an abandoned building run by gangs, murderers, rapists, and child molesters. I'm a 25Y.0. Homeless female. I was on the streets for 1 week before I decided to seek refuge in this abandoned building I always used to walk by every day. In that week alone, I was robbed twice and sexually assaulted. I walked into so many homeless centers and spent hours on the phone with 211 just to be turned away every time and told there was no emergency shelters for me to go to. Even in a city like Los Angeles, they still refuse to offer resources for a disabled young woman. I knew the next thing I'd be robbed of would be my dog, so I came here. I installed a new lock and deadbolt on the door of my room, but I still have to carry multiple weapons with me and have my guard up every time I walk through the building. I'm honestly scared shitless. Even the security guards here have groped me. There have been several nights that someone tried to break into my room. I don't feel safe anywhere. I have nobody at all and I feel like no one cares what happens to me. This building is scary, but I'm glad I at least don't have to spend days going without sleep out of fear of being robbed, then waking up to find my stuff gone the little times I do take a nap. Dreading the early morning hours, because it's extra cold and crisp outside, dragging my poor dog along with me everywhere, being out in the open for anything to happen to me. I just wish there was a bathroom here, or electricity. I've developed a severe UT and every day I pee myself a little from not having control over my bladder anymore. My phone is hardly ever charged nowadays, so I don't have as much contact with the outside world. I'm constantly around drugs, meth and fentanyl fumes from people smoking around me when I step out my room, needles on the ground, and rats everywhere. I wish I had a real home, somewhere clean and safe. I don't know what it feels like to be normal anymore. I don't even feel real. Mabel 1 says, there are paid security guards at an abandoned building? Who's paying their paycheck? Philida Poshtad says, well, that post history is certainly a shit show and a half. 35k in debt, being evicted at one point, BF overdosing on fentanyl, ignored at hospital when in pain, drive stoned out of her head, does OnlyFans, don't ask about the wine bottle, begging for money to get her stuff out of storage, though as she's allegedly homeless I don't know where she'd put it anyway, can't hold a job for more than a couple of months, gets another job, and blows that to the point where the agency were told never to send her back, had her inheritance stolen by stepdad, blew through 15k in a few months, which she got for being in a car accident, and so it goes on, one bad decision after another in bad relationships it seems, or very unlucky. If this is true, surely there's support available for disabled homeless women. What happened to your of? Did you make any money and save? Family? Friends? How are you feeding yourself/your dog? Aren't there abandoned buildings not full of junkies and gangs? Like somewhere off the beaten track, where you'd be safer? That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.